It is now a waiting game for a local survivor of domestic abuse. The man convicted of abusing her is about to get out of prison.
ABC 13 was at her Appomattox County home in 2006 when her then husband held her daughter hostage. That was only one chapter in a terrifying series of events. The lesson she shared with ABC 13's Noreen Turin: you need to act fast and take matters into your own hands.
Their relationship began full of romance.
He wined and dined me and kind of put me on a pedestal, and I put him on a pedestal.
Just 6 months after they met, Karen Wood and Tony Story got married. But Wood says not long after she and her teenage daughter moved in, Dr. Jekyll became Mr. Hyde.
I couldn't fold the towels right. I couldn't load the dishwasher right. I was a bad wife, mother, everything. At times, he had actually loaded rifles and threatened to kill me, himself, and our pets.
Until one night when Wood says Story tried to strangle her in her sleep. She managed to get away. She went to the magistrate the next morning for a protective order and changed the locks. Story was charged with assault and battery. Then, on June 1st, 2006, the date of the court hearing on that protective order,
he followed me all the way into the court in my vehicle and then literally followed in my footsteps into the courthouse, throughout the courthouse.
Karen went to the magistrate's office again to report being followed, a violation of the protective order. Then she got a sinking feeling. Her daughter was coming home from school early for senior skip day. She didn't know what Story might do, so she called home.
And on the third ring, he picked it up and he said, "I've got something you want." And of course, at that point, I knew what he meant.
That began a 6-hour standoff with the Appomattox County Sheriff's Office as Story held her daughter hostage with numerous loaded rifles.
He thought I would be the one to get there first, and what he was going to do, he was going to kill me and then himself, supposedly.
After about 4 hours with hostage negotiators, Story finally let her daughter go. He came out about 2 hours later. After a plea deal, a judge sentenced Story to 10 years with 7 suspended.
And honestly, I really thought it would have ended there.
Anonymous letters started pouring in, intimidating, harassing, personal.
"You won't be able to hide forever. Someone will find you."
A prosecutor started investigating and thought to listen to Story's phone call recordings from prison.
You want me to send another letter?
Oh, hell yes, as many as you can.
I'm gonna.
Well, don't waste your time. Do it before court.
He had convinced a woman who was listed with the prison system as his girlfriend to write and send them. Add another criminal charge for Story, as well as one for the woman. Then came a new letter, this one from an inmate.
"Your ex-husband attempted to hire me to have you murdered." He talked to 2 inmates about them reaching out to their blood member gangs to find my daughter and I and kill us. And I think he offered like $30,000 to each one of them.
Story was charged with yet another felony. Now, after serving a total of 12 years on all of his convictions, he's about to get out, and Wood is doing what she can to protect herself.
Initially, I was told that I would have some input into where he ended up, and for some reason that didn't happen. So I pretty much demanded a meeting.
She laid out the entire history and feels like they now understand the seriousness. Director of Programs for the YWCA, Linda Ellis-Williams, explains victims don't get a say or much information after someone has served their time.
He's no longer charged with a criminal thing. Now it's about his privacy as being a citizen that's being released from the prison system.
Wood does already have a new temporary protective order in place, but when the hearing comes up in January on whether it will become permanent, she might not win.
If there hasn't been a recent threat to do harm, if no contact has been made while the person was incarcerated, then that kind of limits the court's hands of being able to put a protective order in place.
Wood says she has lived threat-free for 5 years now. She doesn't want to move away because she says Story has controlled her life for long enough, and her life is here. So she stands strong and waits for December 17th, the day her abuser goes free.
I contacted Tony Story in prison about his plans when he gets out. He says he plans to go back to his family home and work on antique cars and clocks. He also says he has no resentment or anger toward his former wife and has no intention of going anywhere near her. You can read his full letter to me on our website, wset.com. Danner?
And if you're a victim of domestic violence, both Wood and Ellis Williams say even if you're not ready to press charges, you should file a police report every time the abuse happens. It helps you obtain a protective order when the time comes.